Can you hear that? Can you hear that
No,
music?
no.
All right, hold on. Hold on.
It's hard
Can you hear it now?
used to get
Yeah.
those kicks for
You know
free,
who this is?
but now I'm towing the
Yeah.
line. Oh, ain't the same way
Don't
it
tell
used
me.
to be.
It's from way
Stuck
back, dude.
between my shadow and me. Put it where the
I'll give you a
sun
hint.
don't shine.
He does it all himself.
Oh, I'll tell you that I'm doing fine. Oh, I'm
I'm
so
waiting for the chorus.
tired of beating myself, beating
Oh yeah.
myself up. Gonna take a trip and multiply.
Oh yeah. Jimmy Liddell, right?
These
That's it, brother. You got it. You win.
with a smile.
Ah, I didn't expect you to get that one.
Yeah. I covered that song, and I should know better because I don't know. As a sideman, you learn a million songs, and sometimes they
Yeah.
go in one ear about the other. And you know that feeling like when you go and sit in with a band, and they're like, "So, what song you want to do? Like, what songs do you know?" And you're like, "You probably know 3,000 of them," but in your head, you're like, zero. I can't think of any of them. So
Yeah,
that always
I
happens. So
actually, yeah. So like literally, I know zero songs, but just give me give me some changes and I'll watch you. I know all the songs, but yet not one at all.
yeah, exactly, exactly,
Well,
exactly.
ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday! Welcome to this Friday edition of our live stream here, and we have Ariel Posen with us today, dude. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I I've obviously known about you for a little bit, especially from the brothers Landreth and stuff like that. And you have been heavily, heavily, heavily requested on my channel for a long time now. And then by the grace of the YouTube algorithm, that lead you did at that one club got boosted all over the place, as you know,
Yeah.
and I got, I don't know, a dozen requests for it in a day, and so of course I did it, and it was tremendous. I love the I know that you do a bunch of different stuff, but the power trio and the amount of space that you guys give each other and it just sounds so huge and so dynamic, and all the like the vocal runs you do on your guitar parts. I'm just a huge fan, and I'm pumped to have you here today, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah. Thank you, algorithm. Right on.
It's a mysterious beast, isn't it?
It's totally. That video has been up since February. That tour was in February of this year,
Yeah.
and it's been sitting there, up until a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it is funny how it works. I won't question it.
Oh,
I'll take it when it wants to feed, so to speak.
my my last guest, excuse me, um, was Brian Moss from a band called Spafford, and he posted a video like I think like 10 years ago, and it just started trending like last week. So
Wow.
what you're experiencing is not uncommon with the YouTube phenomenon, But so anyway, I don't know how familiar you are with what we do on the channel when we have guests, but basically, I asked you to bring a handful of live tracks that meant something to you in some way, and then what we're also going to do is allow the audience here to ask some questions and maybe even throw some tracks at you to get your opinion.
Love it.
And we can go as long as you want, as short as you want. There are no rules. You can set, it's a total free for all. And so for everybody watching here, just know that I split all my donations with my guests. So if you want to super chat and make sure that Ariel sees your question, we're not going to take all of them, but if anything, any requests, capture his, he sees them and likes one, a little, whatever, we'll go through that way. Mods, I see you out there. You got Fantasy throwing some background stuff out there. Thank you so much. I see Fishing, US Elite Ski, Cashew, all the familiar faces. Everybody's happy you're here. So before we jump in to the tracks, how's it been up there? And actually, you know what? Before that, I just gotta say that between you and Joey and Ian, what the hell is going on up there in Canada? I feel like this year I found out about like the three of you. I know I'm late to the game. But all through people watching this channel, sending me videos, and just like the three of you that like really just blew away this year. Like you're all Canadians. What's going on up there?
Well, I don't know, man. We've all been at it. We've all been grinding a long time. I mean, I've been a fan.
Yeah,
Ian's been at it. Ian's been in the game forever. You know, Big Rec was
yeah,
probably at their peak in the 90s. So he's been at it. He's been doing his thing the same way forever. I remember seeing him like in the late 90s in a club where I was still 14 years old, and I think I went with my dad or something. And I just have this vivid memory of him, you know, slaying. And then there was this place called the Zoo in Winnipeg, which is a shithole.
mm-hmm.
It actually is torn down now, but it was like a legendary place that you play. And he played, and he just like pulled this, like this fluff that has been on the ceiling probably for like a decade. It was just so gross, but so funny. And I don't know why it's so memorable. He just pulled it down, smelt it, threw it away, and then kept playing. And it just stuck with me. But other than his playing, I mean, the singing, the songs, it's like, geez, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yeah.
No, I was just gonna say so he's been on this channel as a guest too, and what I meant to say, and you brought it up, about the three of you is that there's something, especially between you and Joey as well. There's just like an incredibly lyrical way to what you guys do, and watching you guys in that band together, the way that you push on and off each other, it's really like my kind of thing that I've been into lately, where I've been like on a hunt for the inside and a hunt for how to sound more vocal on the guitar and get past all the, you know, this scale over this chord and blah blah blah, and just, you know, can we string together linear runs like a voice would, you know? And you guys just seem to be like, that's your zone, you know? And it just, I freaking love it, especially with the low tuned guitars and like the big steel strings. It's just so filthy. I'd love to hear a little bit from your perspective of kind of how you started going down that path, you know, how you look at it.
Well, first of all, you know, Joe and I, we've known each other since high school, and we've been playing music together forever. And all of us, like we have a circle, a unit of friends that we all grew up and cut our teeth together, listening to the same music, covering the same songs, just like being in each other's minds. So like, you know, we listened to a lot of the same music. We were around each other, and this goes for a few other people too. We're all in that same group, so you can't help but like come from a like-minded place, you know.
Yeah.
And I can't speak for him, but I mean, for me, like the lyrical stuff, you know, all my favorite guitar players are not technically the best. They're not, you know, their technical proficiency isn't what speaks to me. It's the character, and it's telling a story, and it's their way of just making me feel moved and making me feel something. And just by only playing not all the notes, because, you know, the more the better, it's just playing the only stuff that matters. Yeah. And that is what moves me. That's what speaks to me. That's what music is. I like people that are playing music and not playing guitar. So that's kind of always been my frame of mind, if that makes sense, without sounding super pretentious. You know, like, I love the guitar, but at the end of the day, it's just the tool. It's like a hammer.
Yeah.
You know, it's what I've chosen to get what's in my head out. You know, it'd be the same way of thinking if I was playing piano or tuba. Yeah. It's just that kind of thinking.
Yeah, and it really comes across like that's you know now for the video that I did. Now I've watched a bunch others. It really focuses on just that one improv section, but you know it really comes across when you transition between your taking your leads and your singing and your vocals. And it's the same way with Joey and like in that whole band. It really seems to be a commitment to the song and a commitment to
Mm.
the emotional connection and not just music for other musicians, man. And it that is the thing that really hits me, when I listen to it. It seems so purposefully song driven, and that's just like I thank you for it. You're speaking my language, dude. I feel like we don't have as much of that going around from really hardworking touring recording bands, these days. And so when I find new ones, I'm just like, hell yeah, this is amazing. So
Uh,
I'm excited for when you guys tour again. If you come through the East Coast of the U.S., I will definitely be there because I'm telling you that is just what floors me the most when I listen to what your solo stuff and with the band. It just seems so song and connection oriented, and you're playing and singing. It's like it's the two sides of the same coin with that. It shines.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I mean, you get it. That's what I'm going for. I mean, I love songs.
Yeah.
I love musicians. I love instrumental music. I like guitar music. I like it all. And I've grown up with phases of all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I really like songs. And it's about serving the song. And it's about just because you can doesn't mean you should always. And like the more you do the more of something you do, the less special it becomes. So if you make moments out of it, when my recorded music, any of my albums, it's not guitar albums, it's not guitar music, it's guitar driven. Like the moments are made from the guitar again, because that's my tool to get that voice out. But if you come to a show, there's a lot more
Hmm.
guitar playing, if you will. And I like to keep the records more, song oriented. And it's the same live, but we stretch out more. And that's certain things don't come across on record as well as they do live, in my opinion, at least. So that's just how I like to approach it.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's the beauty of playing live. You get to have fun with your friends, and you can push it however you want. But yeah, when you're making records and people have their 3 or 4 minutes or whatever in the car or whenever they're listening
Yeah,
to it, if you can give them those hooks that stay with them, you know what I mean, and just hammer the melody and just give them a great tune, and that's the stuff that when they get out of the car, when they go to do whatever, it's still stuck in there. You know what I mean? That's the good shit.
exactly, man. And like the funny thing about that Angeline video blowing up is like I have maybe two moments in the show, that song and one other song where there's a stretched out solo. Just like two times. Everything else is there's not like any stretch out moments. That's like the encore of the show. That was one out of 14 shows that tour, probably. I don't even know if it was the best one. I remember walking off the stage and being like, fun
Yeah,
gig, but like, it was just another night,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So I don't know, just interesting.
yeah. That's
It's
that's
those
how it
moments
works.
that you make. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So along that note, and then we'll get into some tracks. I see the first super track. This is from Travis. Thank you so much, Travis. Originality, like that's always the thing. It's like if you can come out with a couple things that work, but can you continue to do it? Can you continue to make new stuff? So he's asking, can it be improved upon, or do you have like a specific lots of different writers, answer these types of questions differently. What's your thought? Any tips when he says, you play, it just feels like your copy of something else, and you can't seem to get past it.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, finding your voice, I think, is the most important thing we can do as musicians. Doesn't matter what instrument you play.
Hmm.
And finding your voice is the hardest thing because the way we are brought up, the way that we perceive music and guitar specifically, we'll just talk in that way, is like we see everyone else do stuff and we assume that's how we have to sound. We never stop and think, you know, just like human nature, you have tendencies in day to day life, you have tendencies on your instrument that you want to do. And a lot of people neglect that and don't really listen to that. And it's a matter of, rather than focusing on what everyone else is doing and what you think they want you to do, you run the other way and you listen to what's in your head and chase that. And it's so much harder than it sounds, because you just have to be comfortable with yourself to believe in your ideas. And that is like the path to finding your voice. However, finding your voice does include all those influences that you have, you know? Let's say you're Stevie Ray Vaughan's or you're Clapton, or you're Hendrix, whatever it is. It's important to take those people, keep them inside of you in your voice, but at a certain point, you kind of leave them aside at the door and say, hey, thanks for that. I'm going to keep going on my own, but like, you've obviously have a great impact on me. And a lot of what I do is voiced around what I've learned from you, but I'm going to continue on with my own thing. And if you asked any of those players, they would say the same thing. None of them would be who they are and sound who they are without their influences. Yeah. So, you know, music is so conversational. It's a language, and it comes down to, you know, there's only so many notes in music. Everyone always asks me, what's the secret? What's the cheat code? What's the way that I can skip ahead and not do all the work and just be at that level? First of all, there isn't one, but there is one cheat code, is that there's literally not that many notes. All we're doing is repeating ourselves. And it's a matter of knowing musical slang, like how to say the same thing in different ways. And, you know, one of the most important things you can do is listen to as many different people saying those things in different ways.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One thing I'll add to that, whenever I have students ask me this question or something along these lines, when you feel like you're just a guitar player and you stop being a musician, you just feel like you always play guitar-centric stuff, is when you hear a track and you're trying to think of an improvisation or a melody or something, put the thing down, hum it, you know, audiate, you know, try to find something that is just, or even use a piano or a different instrument, something where your muscle memory isn't leading your ear. And then if you can find it there, then go backwards and let your muscle memory figure out what your inner ear has provided. You know, and that's an exercise that has always proved to work for me. You know, that's why you find sometimes, you know, some songs are in a different piano. You get a new guitar tuned in a different way. Sometimes you come up with something new. You know, you can't let your muscle memory that you've worked decades and decades pulling to, you know, have your ear follow that. You gotta make a concerted effort to switch it on it.
You nailed it, man. I tell students the exact same thing. Muscle memory is you teaching your hands how to do something, and what your hands do, because they're not necessarily your brain. They are controlled by your brain. They go, oh, I got you, bro. Like, well, I'll do what you taught me to. I'll do the, you know, whatever. Like, I got you. I'll do that. And then, so if you can like improvise and start with that and say, hey, hands, lead the way. They're going to do what you taught them to do, which is the same thing. It's copy and paste. Yeah. So if you're only depending on that, you're only ever going to be repeating those ideas and not actually being in here and thinking, you know, exactly. The singing thing is what I have people do. It's like, record yourself playing a solo to a backing track, listen back, and then put the guitar down, put on that same backing track and sing a solo. Doesn't matter if you're a great singer, doesn't matter if you're a horrible singer. Record that, listen back, and you're going to, like, immediately, you're going to see all these differences. You're going to be singing melodically. You're going to be leaving space. Why? Yeah. Because you got to breathe. And we forget to breathe when we're playing. And you're just going to build onto a theme and develop that theme. And, you know, it's a story arc. It's human nature. It's what we do. And you got to tap into that, rather than what we think we need to do is just lead with our hands. And I do think a big reason of that is how we're taught to play guitar. We're taught shortcuts because, you know, people are lazy. I'm lazy too. We're all lazy, but sophistication requires that work. I really don't even think it's a talent thing. It's just putting that time in.
I completely agree. You know, unlike a lot of other I taught in person for years and years, and I found the same thing true in person as online. It's human nature. Everybody wants the magic pill, the silver bullet. They want to skip the work, right?
Yeah.
And unlike so many of these other teachers on here that try to sell a bunch of stuff, I'm just like, no, man, there is none of that bullshit. You just keep picking it up and try to get a little bit better every day, and try to make that connection between your inner ear and your muscle memory, and over time it's gonna meld and become all those things. But there's no secret, and you're so right. When you go to sing it, you do have to take a breath, and you realize that maybe the sweeps aren't the things that are going to get stuck in people's head. You know what I mean? Or maybe this super fast trill, if you're not accentuating the little pulses in between, the little targets that people are going to pick up on, you know what I mean, that you're going to lose it if it's just this static running. And especially like what you said, like if you record yourself, you play it back, then you really hear it. It's like it's like looking in a mirror. No one wants to do that, but you grow so much by doing that.
Yeah. I think
right.
I always say recording yourself is the best thing you can do. Filming or audio, even on just voice memos on your phone, just document it. It's looking in the mirror. It is looking in the mirror. I always use the analogy of like, you see someone across the street, it's a friend of yours, and they go, "Hey, Michael, how's it going?" And you see them, and you're happy to see them, and you go like this, "Hey." You respond. But in your head, you're going,
"Great,
hey," and he comes up to you, or she comes up to you and says, "Hey, Michael, I filmed that on my phone. Look how you responded. Did I do something to piss you off?" And you look and you see that you're not emoting, and you go, "Oh my God, that's what I look like when I'm trying to be excited to see someone. Now that I've seen that, I know that I need to emote so much more." And then you'll always do that now. And it's the same thing with playing, things that may feel good and sound good may not be as rocking as you think, and things that you play are like habits that are like, "Oh, I hate when I do that thing." You listen and you'll be like, "That's actually pretty great. I'm glad I listened to it objectively, because now I know that I should be running the other direction." And just like little things, very important.
That might be the best way I've ever heard it explained. That I might have to cut this and make that its own video.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. All right. I see one more question. We got a super chat from Tom, and then Ariel, we're going to jump into your tracks. So Tom asks, and thank you, Tom, for the super chat. It says, "I listened to," I think he says, Canadian radio growing up. I live in Vermont. And I wonder if you can talk about some of your Canadian influences. And then he also includes a track which we'll play a little bit of, April Wine.
Ooh.
You know that one?
Well, I do know that one. Classic.
All right.
My Canadian influences, not again because we were talking earlier, but no one else here was talking with us. Grew up in the 90s, listened to 90s music. And in the 90s, what was the biggest thing? Rock. It was like the coolest. And Canada had its great wealth of really great rock bands. So there were a bunch of bands like, Big Rat we were talking about, I Mother Earth, Our Lady Peace, Moist, The Watchmen, Tragically Hip. What else? There's so many more I'm probably forgetting. But I Mother Earth was one of my favorites. That was like my first actual rock concert I went to. Got to meet the band. I was blown away. Like, it was just like the best day of my life. It was those 90s era bands. Big time.
Yeah. Love it. All right. So here we go. I'm going to play a couple minutes. Usually we do like 2 minutes a track. So I'm going to play his request, and then we'll jump into one of yours. So let me add this in here. Here we go. This is April Wine, Sign of the Gypsy Queen live, starting at 1:54, I think he said.
Light smokes on the hill rise, and bright the man with the warm light. A shower light to let fly, while the darkness can help the light. 'Cause trouble's coming without control, and no one's staying, it's got a hold. Her belly. western wind is fast and strong, and jump on back he is good and long, and we resist till we reach the dawn. Cause running seems like the best defense, and staying just don't make any sense. Cause no one could ever stop it now. Sure the cards of the gypsy town. It's alright, you're the gypsy queen. You're a misery. The world never wanted to know. Be like golden girl.
All right.
Damn. Guitarmonies.
Guitarmonies, like we used to. Dude, every time I watch these old classic videos, I just think, I just look out in the audience and I'm just like, man, I hope we can do that again. When we're just,
Oh, dude.
it seems so impossible to like places at capacity, slammed in there like sardines, spilling your drink. You know what I mean? Just like, it just seems like it's so far away.
I agree with you, man. Not only is it so far away, but once just for it to be like it was,
Yeah.
there's gonna be shows are gonna be back, but they're not gonna be like they were for a while.
Yeah.
I like so many people are gonna be afraid, I think, or just feel
Yeah.
weird about it, and there's gonna be a lot of mixed feelings. I'd like to think that it's gonna be overwhelmingly positive, and everyone is just so desperately waiting to go back to seeing live music, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it hurts. It hurts to think about. I'm actually so used to this new normal of like seeing a crowd like that, even on my own old videos or other people, and being like, "Ooh, that looks like a super spreader event right there." It's crazy.
I know. I mean, I think, obviously we're gonna have some summer amphitheaters, and I recently watched a video on my friend Tim Pierce's channel. I'm sure most of you know who Tim is, and he had Rick Springfield on there, who he's recorded with and played with forever, and they were talking about this subject, and he asked Rick, what he's kind of hearing on his end, and he's like, well, I can tell you this much, there's going to be more demand for these outdoor pavilion and amphitheater gigs than there are venues, and everybody's trying to get back and book stuff for this summer, but certainly next summer, and and not everybody's going to be able to get in, and it's going to be high ticket prices. It's going to be a lot of bands are not going to be able to get in, and it's going to be a whole different set of issues. And I thought about that, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense, because are we going to be jamming into our little clubs? Are we going to be going to, like in my area, it's the 930 club, the 8x10, the Ram's Head. Are we going to be slamming those, or are we going to be, and he was suggesting that, what you're going to see is a lot of these bands that would typically fill these 1,000, 1,500 rooms, banding together on the same dates to fill the 5,000 amphitheaters, etc. And you're going to start seeing a lot of labels and different people that haven't had to work together in the past have to start doing that, because they're going to want open air, and in lots of the country, you're talking only 3 or 4 months of the year, and it's going to be a whole new set of issues for people trying to get back on the scene.
Agreed. I can't agree more. I mean, you got to think as well as like, you got your Rick Springfields, who that level of artists, who normally be playing arenas, stadiums.
Right.
And you have just as many, actually, you have probably infinity times the amount of smaller groups and artists that are playing from anywhere from 100 people to 500 to maybe just 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And those are the people who I'm including myself in that too, will be hurting the most. And I think will take the longest
Totally.
for them to get back to that, can I fill this 500 room club or smaller or bigger, whatever. There's ways for the bigger artists to and like some are doing it. They were doing all these drive-in shows this summer. They're doing these super spread out amphitheater shows, and everyone's still got to make money. So it's like, do you raise the ticket prices?
Yeah.
Like there's so many cooks in the kitchen that need to get paid to make it work, and I don't know. I just feel like there's no point of rushing it. Let's just do it when it's going to be right, and let's do it when it can be like it was. Even if it's just like hold out, like all these people who are still playing and doing some versions of games. Like I get it, we all want to be doing it, but at the same time, maybe we just don't do it, then we can all go back to doing it like we were even sooner.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, we're all feeling the same thing. So again, whenever I see videos with a huge sea of people, I'm just like, oh, I kind of want my kids to have that, because especially some of the videos that you picked, they're really in my wheelhouse for my age group, and we were a part of some really huge crowds, and those are just like those are the nuggets those were the forks in the road that made you go this way when friends went this way. You know what I mean?
Big time.
Sometimes it happened on that day. You know what I mean? Like where your life was changed. And it's scary to think about the idea that it might be different, but things always change, and we've overcome far worse than this. So I mean, it's not, we can do anything as long as the bastards don't try to keep us down too long.
Agreed, my man. Yeah.
All right, so now let's get on to some of your tracks. So you sent me 4. You can pick whatever order you want, and like you said, they're random, but they all mean something. So why don't you tell me which one you'd like to start with and why you picked it?
Well, I think speaking on crowds and how it used to be and growing up in the 90s, I think we go with that first one there. We go with the Korn one.
Yeah.
I tried to just pick super random, some not like as guitar related, but they mostly are, but just a variety of stuff. And assuming this doesn't get us blocked or anything like that, because it's a Woodstock thing. I remember Woodstock 99 being 13 years old. And again, I can't stress enough how important, for those that don't know or weren't, where we were at this time, the new metal, that metal with hip hop and all, like Limp Bizkit, Korn, like all those kind of bands were the biggest thing. It was the biggest thing in music at that time.
They were huge.
And I remember hanging out at my grandparents' house, and I was watching Much Music because we don't have MTV, but they were covering Woodstock, and I remember watching. Korn was the night before.
Free on DirecTV.
Oh, was it? Well, Korn was on the Friday night. And the next night, the Saturday, is when, first of all, a lot of bad shit happened at Woodstock 99. And I believe they're actually making a documentary about it, which I'm really, really excited about.
You talking about all the fires and everything?
The riots, the fires. There was a bunch of other horrible stuff that went down. But they say that the Limp Bizkit set specifically is when they actually accused them of starting a riot. They were tearing down sets. Like you saw people surfing on plywood. And Fred Durst was like, "Oh, that's fat, man. Yeah, I want to surf." They were literally doing that during Limp Bizkit. They didn't even realize that. Maybe they did, but they in all their interviews. Anyways,
I did that at the HF Festival.
Say that again.
I said I did that on the during the HF Festival during. I don't know if you're familiar with that was, but there was a local radio station, WHFS, based in the Baltimore metro area, and every year they put on a huge concert at Redskins Stadium. A couple times it was at Baltimore Ravens, but at a football stadium. But we're talking huge bands like this, Rage Against the Machine, Stone Temple Pilots, Red Hot Chili Peppers, big huge bands.
Wow,
but RFK was a grass field, and they used to put the boards down on the ground, and people would rip them up, and you crowd surf on top. and it was an absolute shitstorm. But I did
Wow.
it. It was dangerous, and I was probably 13 or whatever. But those are the moments.
Those are the moments, man. But I remember watching that, and not the destruction, of course. It wasn't like destruction that spoke to me, of course, but it was just the attitude of music and bands and musicians back then. It was just there was a very rebellious,
Yeah,
people are so proper and so afraid of saying stuff, and everything that was sung about or said then, of course, would get them canceled now in 2020. But there
so
was just an
true.
energy around it that was so mysterious, exciting, and I remember just being so blown away watching it. And I love that music. I'm not afraid to admit it. They
Yeah.
were amazing bands. They still are. I actually had a flight. I was flying home from LA last summer, and I was doing some work in LA, and I was flying back home in Canada, and I'm in the lounge at the airport, and sure enough, I'm like, oh my God, there's Fred Durst. The 13-year-old me starts freaking out, and
Yeah.
I have the fortune of getting to meet a lot of heroes, and I've always tried to play it cool. I'm not trying to. Anyways, I move on. I go, that was pretty cool, and I'm waiting to board the plane, and sure enough, Fred, the whole band is behind me in line. And long story short, I used some upgrades I had, and I sat in business class, which I don't usually do, but I sat in business class with Limp Bizkit the whole flight,
Love it.
and I was free. I had 3 guitars on my back. Like, they could tell I was a musician. I just didn't say anything. I really didn't want to go up to anyone and say, "Hey, man, I loved you 20 years ago," and you don't want to
Yeah.
make anyone feel old. But I ended up DMing him and say, "Hey, man, I didn't want to bug you on the flight. I was the guy with 3 guitars, and I just want to say thank you for what you've done. Like, you've had a great impact on me and so many other people. Just thanks for what you do." And I was like, he's not going to respond. And he saw it immediately and wrote, he was right on. So I went, yes. But I didn't bug him. But yeah, I loved all those bands. So the Korn video, specifically, I did, sounds like I should have picked the Limp Bizkit show, but the Korn one is the perfect example of something separate from there being a pandemic right now, but something that we just don't really have anymore. And what that is a fully attentive crowd that is fully in the music, and there's no phones, there's no documentation. It's
Yeah.
about the experience. And do you know how much better that makes it for a band to have an engaged audience like that isn't trying to just get that moment? And don't get me wrong, if I see people on their phone taking video and post, like, I appreciate all that. It's all good, and the times change, but there was something special about 200,000 people
Dude.
moshing and just going
Dude.
for it.
Dude.
It gives me, like, yeah, I get the
Yeah.
goosebumps from it, man.
I couldn't agree more. I gotta throw this in there though. I agree. I agree with everything that you say. Like, we really don't have that anymore, with one exception. Tool.
Oh,
If you go to a Tool show, and I went to one last year before um, Corona. So you're not allowed to use your phones, right? If phones come
oh,
out, you get kicked out, right? And
wow.
every single person, from the floor to the rafters, standing, screaming the entire show, no bullshit. Uh, so much louder than it should be, and it is the only exception that I currently know of, to what you're talking about consistently, because I've seen them a few times. Like that is no phones, everybody standing, everybody knows the words, screaming, electric energy, hoarse the next day, like we used to.
Well, that makes me so happy to hear that. I had no idea. I've never been hugely invested in Tool, so I just didn't know that. So that makes me so happy, because that is a band that knows their audience, and they know they know the experience that the people should have, but they also are aware of the experience that they need to have as a band, and they're holding
Yes.
on to that. And yes, I love that.
Yeah, no,
Um,
dude. If you ever get a chance to see them, go see them. Even if you're not like you haven't been the biggest fan of their music, because of what you're talking about. The show it's like it's almost a little bit like theater, because the show itself is an immersive show. You know, it's the four of them are in a row, and they usually have a draping in front of them, which doesn't come down for like the first 10 songs. And Maynard is usually hiding in the back, you know, and creeping around, or like he casts his shadow over the arena, but doesn't always, you don't always know where he is. You know what I mean? It's this very different thing. But I'm telling you, Tool still does it. But that's about all I know.
Nice.
That's
I
about
love it, man. That
so
makes
go
me so
see-
happy.
Go see him when real life returns, and you'll see what I mean. But anyway, here we go. Without further ado,
Let me say
This
one
is-
more thing before you
Go
tee
for
up
it.
this video. Speaking of
Go
Tool
for
and like those concerts and Korn specifically, same year as this Woodstock, I think the album was, I guess they were on the same tour as this Woodstock thing. So I guess Follow the Leader came out, or whatever Freak on a Leash was on. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Someone can correct me. However, they came to Winnipeg to play a show, and I put my name in a contest to win a 7-string Ibanez. And
Yeah.
that whole summer, my parents were in a band. So like they're musicians. My brother and I,
Very
during
cool.
summers, we would always travel with them, fly around. They were doing festivals all summer. So we were traveling around Western Canada, and we checked. This is 1999. So it was the old days where you call your landline at home to check your voice messages. And sure enough, there was a message from the Winnipeg Free Press saying, "Hello, this is a message for Ariel Posen. We just want to let you know you've won 3rd place for the Korn contest. Didn't win the guitar, but you've won 2 free tickets to the Korn concert." And I was like, "No, we're not going to be there." So
yeah,
this is how I have to live through these experiences, through videos like this. Okay.
love it. All right, and now we're just starting from the beginning, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then you let me know when you want to call it. Here we go. This
Can I
is Korn,
can I talk
Blind.
over it, or do we pause it?
It will be louder than your voice generally. I can bring it halfway
Okay, no,
down,
it's
but if
okay.
you want to talk, just give me a wave.
Okay, I'm going to tee up one thing. Just keep in mind watching this, this is my favorite part of a concert, and this is what gives me goosebumps is, right before a show is about to start, it's that minute or two before the show starts. You can hear the techs tuning guitars, you can hear them hitting the snare to test levels for front of house. Those little things they fire me up so much. So we
Yes.
maybe skip ahead 30, 40 seconds, because I think it might go on for a minute or two just to be safe. But once they start,
That's the real stuff.
the payoff is just so good. Yeah, anyways.
I love
done.
it. I love. Oh no, dude, no, you're good. This whole channel is about people excited about music like this. Like this is perfect. Perfect. Here we go. Oh. And look at that ocean of people.
Oh man.
I remember this. I remember this.
Fieldy.
Look at it.
Man.
Yeah, these bands were fucking huge. Huge.
So like,
I'm so fly.
okay,
Dude, these
Oh.
bands, I forgot how big these bands were. Like
they were like the
Filter
biggest
and
thing
all
at
the
that
rest.
time. Yeah.
They were huge.
Can you imagine what that? I guess you can imagine what that feels like to be in that sea of people. It actually gives me anxiety thinking about actually being in that. Like, there's no better place than being on stage while that's going on. But imagine experiencing that from on stage. Those blooming waves of
Dude,
100 or 200,000
dude.
people with the energy and everything. Like, I forgot that Fieldy, the bass player, does that really low, slappy.
Well, he
Out of
has the one
context, it would sound
string.
very.
He has the one string that he leaves Slinky, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it sounds so weird on its own, but it's so much of that corn percussive sound.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so. Oh, I got the goosebumps
No.
from it, man.
Dude, I'm so with you, and you know, we all know there's plenty of studies about this, but you know, like those types of big impressions that happen in your adolescence, you know, your teens and your, you know, up to like 20 or 20, like things that happen in that zone, you know, they change you forever, and it's festivals and concerts like that. I never went to anything that big, but full stadiums with that type of music where, like, you know, you know, where it's so many people that, you know, there's ripples in
Yeah.
it. That type of energy, when you feel that as a kid, you know what I mean? That it literally changes the trajectory of your world, you know?
It shapes you. Yeah.
It shapes you. Energy does that. People are not
Yeah.
meant to be in isolation. There's a magnetic thing that happens, and that's a celebration of that. And it's such a great way for the great first track to start with. I love it. I freaking love it.
So yeah, I've been on that. I've been on a 90. I'm very nostalgic, so I've been on a kick the last couple of weeks of going back on all, not just Korn, but like all these other bands, videos like that, and it makes me feel so good. It gives me energy, and even though the music I make isn't anything like that stuff, I wouldn't be who I am without that stuff, and it takes me back to a certain time and place. And as an older, now that I'm slightly older than I was then, to have, you know, imagine if we had the internet like it is now back then. All these things that,
Dude,
I wish I had all this insight other than MTV or Much Music documenting it. You could find everything is available. So all the things I maybe didn't understand or didn't know about, it's all available now, and it's like this endless wealth of information and content and knowledge. It's so good. Yeah.
I could not agree more. And I love that you brought up the point that while this might not be the music that you play now or even really listen to a lot now, it had such a formative, it shaped you at such a formative time in your life, you know?
Yeah.
Made you fall in love with music, with connecting with people, you know? And it's so true. I mean, I don't really listen to a lot of this stuff now, but like like I said, when I did that Rage Against the Machine concert and we did a watch party on the night of the election, of course, I hadn't watched that in forever. Yeah, I hadn't watched that in forever, you know?
Yeah.
And we watched the Woodstock '99 one, and it just brings you back to that time and that place. Like what you said, like these bands, they get all canceled now. It's not, but back then it was that harnessing. It was like that post Nirvana kind of like explosion, you know?
Yeah.
Where it was so visceral and kick drums like cannons, you know?
Yeah.
Like right in the heart, you know? And that's just, yeah, when you feel that type of power and energy and connection with such an incredible, massive amount of people at the same time, yeah, it changes your life. But we get older, we grow, you know, that search for that connection changes, you know,
Yeah.
as we age and we, you know, do whatever. But those were great great times.
Two things, man. First of all, who knows? Maybe, I play a lot in B standard, which is like baritone
You know
tuning,
what?
but also
You're right.
essentially
You might
like,
be good to go in B.
but it's like a 7 string. So like maybe, there may have been influence from that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe subconscious. I don't know. But I want to say one interesting thing about that Rage Against the Machine set at Woodstock. That set is so full of energy. But they followed the Limp Bizkit set, which is when right after they were like, "Hey, everybody, you literally have to calm down. People are getting hurt, and there's shit going on. Can you please?" So if Rage came out doing, I know they burnt the flag and did all this stuff still, but
Yeah.
that was Rage Against the Machine at like 60%. That wasn't even. They purposely tried. They lowered. Maybe it was just more so front of house. They still went for it, but like they were. That was them slightly subdued, if you can believe it.
I it's hard for me to imagine. Okay, so like I said, I saw Rage. I saw them, in the pouring down rain in a stadium, crowd surfing, mud everywhere, as 13 or 14. I mean, one of the highlights of my life. And so obviously I wasn't at Woodstock, so I can't compare. But they threw down really about as hard as I've seen any band throw down. Just
Oh yeah.
I mean, that band. I mean, it just a three-piece, but everyone has a perfect part, and it's funky and it's huge, and it was new and it was angry, and just like can you imagine a band coming out now that was just like that? Like it was a good time. I know we're all nostalgic, and everybody as they get older thinks that they had it best during that time, but it was good. It was
Yeah,
good.
we're all biased, but I truly agree with you. There was something special in the water with some of those bands, and Rage Against the Machine is one of them. And I don't know that there will be another one like that. Probably many will try. There just won't be. You can't. Yeah, there can be many of Zeppelin kind of bands. There can be plenty of these kind of bands. There's only one Rage.
Well, and timing is important too, not just from, the musical landscape, but what's happening culturally. It
Big
was
time.
it was right, the internet was around, but there wasn't any of this, you know what I mean? And so it was just it was just a different amalgamation. It was a different thing.
Totally.
Anyhow, I got a question for you here. Plexico comes in and says, Ariel, saw you in LA. What have you learned about being a musician in the past year since we haven't been doing all these things we're talking about? That has been most important for you in your livelihood?
Interesting. Well, I've known this.
So
It's not that I don't think I necessarily learned it this year, but it's something that I've always tried to keep to heart. It's controlling your perception of what you're doing, if that makes sense. I mean, even when things are normal, like we take stuff for granted so heavily. When we're touring, coming to LA to play, going here to play, going there to play. It's just what we do, and we don't really stop to think, holy crap, like what a cool job. I mean, I do that. But when it's all taken away from you, you really have to alter and pivot your mind in a way to just still find the good in the situation and specifically what you do. And for me, it was, I'm taking this for what it is. This isn't necessarily about being a musician, but I'm home. I haven't traveled, and I love being home. I love being in a routine, and I'm still working on music. I've shifted. I'm lucky, first of all. I know that not everyone's in the same boat, that they can keep working and be creative and do other forms of all music work remotely from home. I do not take that for granted. I've just changed my perception. It's like I don't have to be playing shows at this moment to be making an impact the way that I feel in my mind I would normally be making an impact. So it's just a matter of staying the course for me. That's what I've learned. Is just stay positive, focus on the good rather than focusing on the bad, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. And Plexico, thanks for the question and thanks for the super chat. Beware, thanks for pointing that out to me. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we all know that, sometimes it's good to be forced or to take a step back and see things through a new lens, even if it is forced. And
Yeah.
if you're optimistic and you're open minded, you can usually find an opportunity in in the horse shit, whatever it might be. There's usually something that shows itself if you're willing to put yourself in a situation to have something new enter your world. It's been my experience.
Totally.
All right, next. Which one would you like to play next, and why?
Let's go to the last one. Is the last one Goat Rodeo?
The last one is Here and Heaven.
Yes. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Goat Rodeo Sessions, it's a band made up of Chris Thiele, my favorite mandolin player in the world.
Dude, he's
yeah.
so tremendous.
He's the best. Edgar Meyer, okay, and they have a bunch of duo records that are amazing. Stuart Duncan, unbelievable fiddle player. Oh, and who else is in it? Oh, just casually Yo-Yo Ma. Come on. If that is not an all-star band, I don't know what is. And
is that what we're playing right now?
That's what we're playing. And this song
no
is
way.
this is the only vocal feature. This is from their first record. It features Aoife Donovan, who's one of my favorite singers from like the folk, trad, new grassy. She was in a band called Crooked Still, and she does a bunch of stuff with others now. Her and Chris singing. This song is a masterclass in serving the song. Other than like amazing playing, amazing singing, and like great songwriting, this is a masterclass in performance, attention to detail, serving the song, building, continually stair-stepping, dynamics, and payoff. So like by the time the song starts and when it ends, you feel like you've just been on this crazy trip. I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it again. Yeah. It's so good.
I'm so excited right now. Okay. Here we go. This is okay. I'm just gonna play. Dude.
Oh man. First of all, I think the stream, it was so good that the shit may have been suspended because it was so good.
Did it get blocked?
Yeah.
It did?
Yeah.
Where'd you see that?
On the YouTube video.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, it'll come back though. It'll come back. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Wait. Stand by. Stand by. God.
Standing by.
These mother. This is YouTube, man. This is how it goes. Stand by. It'll come back on. So
These are the things we deal with.
Maybe Yo-Yo Ma is a blocker. Hold on. Wait. Stay with me here. Stay with me.
Oh, I'm here, baby.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you when we're back on. But dude, that was outstanding.
Isn't that outrageous? Just
okay. Okay. Here's what's gonna have to happen. I'm gonna have to make a proper video on that, and so you can upload things and then dispute them, and if they don't take it down or stop it in 48 hours, it'll stay up. So I'm probably gonna have to do that. Let's see if it comes back up. This is really taking a while. Dude, that was really, really, really good. So what's the name of that group?
It's called the Goat Rodeo Sessions. They have two albums out. The Goat Rodeo Sessions. I'm not familiar with their second album as much, but that first one, the whole thing is just maybe the highest level of musicianship you'll come across. It's just so good.
All right. Yeah. I think we're gonna be back on now. Give me 1 second, and we'll just pick up on it. Okay, come on. All right. Okay, Ariel. Sorry about that. All right, so that was Yo-Yo Ma, Stuart Duncan, Edgar Meyer, and Chris Thiele and it's the Goat Rodeo Sessions.
Yeah.
Now that just got blocked. I'm assuming it was that tune and not the one from before. I'm gonna see if I can't do a video on that because that was dude. You're like the best guest ever. That was tremendous. That was so good.
Man,
That was so good.
did you see what I mean though? Just about obviously the musicianship is solid, and I should say I don't know if that was literally live off the floor because it shows him playing like that kind of violin looking thing, and then he's playing mandolin. It could have been overdubbed a little bit, which it doesn't take away anything of the utter amazingness of it, but the building and the song serving and the parts and the dynamics are just like, and the singing, it's just all.
No, it is
all goosebumps.
all there. I mean, they're definitely obviously doing it live in the room. I would think that, the vocals at least are touched up a little bit just because, Chris isn't using any headphones or anything like that, and you see him push in and back, and it's just like a little too perfect. But then again,
that is him though, man. That
I know.
I've seen him play so many times, and he doesn't do anything other than perfect. I know it sounds cliche, but it's actually, he's not human.
Well, those people that come from that world of that bluegrassy world of self mixing on a single microphone by stepping in and out,
Yeah.
and having different instruments with lots of different volumes, but they're all being acoustic. Like the mandolin is a much different volume than the guitar, than a banjo, than a fiddle, than an upright bass. But and so everybody has to work around that mic, but then sing to overcome the other instruments too, and have them blend together. People that have been doing that a long time have an incredible intuition for that. So you're right. He could just be perfect. But it sounds.
I mean, that world is those guys mixing and gals mixing themselves on the fly. It's utter control of your dynamics and your levels. There's no. I was going to do a Punch Brothers video, which is one of Chris's other bands, and that band is one of my favorites too. But I decided this one. I just thought it would be a more different experience. But check out Punch Brothers too if you haven't. There's so many other bands like that, but.
I have. I've been meaning to do a Punch Brothers video. What is one that you think I should definitely do? Does anything come to the top of your head?
Well, I mean, there's so many good songs. I assume that you're looking specifically for like a certain performance, right?
One video.
Yeah. The one I was going
email it to me later. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I'll do that. There's so many.
All right. How much time do you have? You want to do one more? You want to take a question or two? What's up?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good to go. I'm having a blast. Let's go.
All right. Let's do all right, here's one. So playing with your heroes, obviously it raises your game, who are some of the people that you've played with that maybe, you've been on stage with that maybe really made you work hard, or you just remember like one of these, one of those times when the first thing that comes to me, I haven't had the pleasure of touring and been in bands and met a lot of people that I know that you have, but like when I went to school out in GIT, I got to play on stage with many of my heroes from an instructor standpoint. And it's one of the main reasons that like I always tell people that, as much as you practice and you have your routine, a critical pillar of really getting better is being and playing with people who you look up to, who are substantially better than you, that are really going to push you, because you can only get so good by yourself. And there's something that happens when you're toe to toe with someone who's pushing at you. You know what I mean? And no matter how much you worked that week, all of a sudden your hands are tired. All of a sudden you just and having to force through it. There's the energy of that other person that just I think it's critical to quick growth if you really want to do this for a living. I was wondering if you could share some perspective on that.
Well, always be the worst player in the room. That is the number one rule. You never want to be the best. You never want to be the top. You always want to be learning. You always want to be in a position where you can evolve. You can learn something. There's something you can take away. And there's something about being the worst in the room, that mentality, it sets you up just to always have open ears and learn something or just experience something that you didn't know could happen in a musical scenario. And, I think when people talk heroes, they think like famous people. If that's the case, I haven't played with any of my heroes, but all my friends are my heroes as well. I have the great fortune of being friends with a lot of everyone's favorite modern day guitar players. And anytime I've played with any of them, they're also different and they all excel at many things, but like they have their voice and they have their thing. And it's just an amazing thing to sit down with someone, whether it's, some of the blues friends like Josh Smith, Kirk Fletcher, Matt Schofield, guys like that. And it's like, you really, there's an education there. Even, my friend Chris Eldridge, who plays in the Punch Brothers, I have taken a couple lessons from him, and I'm just, please show me the flat picking, the bluegrass thing like that, and just trying to just experience that. It's all about wealth of knowledge in so many different places. And even if it doesn't apply to you, there is so much that, music isn't genre based. Music is one big umbrella, and there's pieces to take from everything. And it's all about having an open mind, open ears, and just always being open to learning, never settling. So when you settle, this is kind of changing the topic of the question, but it's still related. Once you start settling and being like, I think I've said all I can say, in the pentatonic, that's when you're in trouble. That's when you should check yourself and go, oh, I need to rewind and put my face down and get back to work. I don't put my face down isn't really a saying, but I just mean like get the shed, stay working, keep grinding, evolving.
Yeah, dude, I obviously couldn't agree more. Joe Kenny, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Super generous. I said, if you have time, put on Limehouse Blues. David Grisman turns it on.
Ooh.
You mean David Grissom or Grisman? Let's see here.
Oh, David Grisman is the mandolinist.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, David Grissom. Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Why am I thinking that? Yeah, which is so ridiculous because I love David Grissom.
Although if my friend David Grissom would play Limehouse Blues, I'm sure he would do a pretty badass version of it as well.
Dude, well, that's why I was just searching for it, and I was just like, something's wrong. It's not coming up. But I love David Grissom. I'm a huge bluegrass fan. All right, here we go.
Grisman's one of the OGs for sure.
Oh, for sure, definitely. Joe Kenny, this is for you, buddy. Here we go.
We're going to finish in a different fashion. No regular theme tonight. We're going to finish with this tune, Limehouse Blues.
We'll jump up.
And
Oh my God! All right,
What we're
First
going
of all,
that was-
poor bass players. We always leave the room when the bass player takes a solo, right?
dude. Well, that was it. All right, I got one for you. So dealer's choice. I'm taking one here.
Nice.
For anybody that hasn't seen this, so we just saw Mark O'Connor crush it there, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you ever seen this one with Vassar Clements and Mark O'Connor do House of the Rising Sun?
No.
Dude, so Vassar, people on this channel know this about me, but Vassar is I would say my favorite improviser of all time, any instrument,
Wow.
any genre. And I don't know how familiar you are with his playing, but he is one of those guys that he's just so impossibly fluid. And I've just like we kind of at the beginning of this talked about, I've for a while now I've just been on the hunt for just the inside, like the vocal melodies, the stuff that just gets stuck in there, but like with the perfect amount of instrumental flair and virtuosity. And Vassar has been that guy for me for a long time. I've spent a great deal of my life trying to pick Vassar licks on the guitar, like an electric Doc Watson, grabbing Vassar is kind of like being one of my goal of a lifetime.
Nice.
And this is a great example of you see someone like Mark just just watch it. Just watch it. Here we go.
I can't wait.
Dealer's choice. Dealer's choice.
When I was 11 years old, I used to take this man's music to sleep with me at night. I was deeply moved by the emotion he could bring out of his bluesy fiddling. In his lifetime, he became the most respected and admired fiddler in the world. Here he is, Vassar Clements.
Just wait. So smooth.
Yeah.
Just wait till the fiddles go at it, man.
Yeah. Oh.
Dude. Dude, right?
Oh man, music wins again. Oh man,
Dude,
so good.
I was so happy I got to show you something you didn't know about. That's
Thank you for that. Wow.
yeah, you're welcome. I'm sure you knew about Vassar, but yeah, that's he's my guy. That's the top of the mountain for me. That is like when I think of pure improvisers across any genre, like he's the one that is inspired me the most probably.
Oh man, so that's music. That is, he's not playing fiddle.
Yeah.
He's playing
That's
music.
the point. Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly. See, it's all come full circle. See how it goes?
Always.
All right. I'll tell you what. We've been on about an hour and a half. Why don't we do one more or take another question or so before we call it a day? You have two
Sure.
more videos. Why don't you pick one more and then keep your eye to the chat and see if there's a question that grabs your attention, and then
Okay.
and then we'll do that. So which one do you
Well,
want to play?
Since we're on the topic of just musicality, both videos apply to that, but just really amazing playing. Let's do the Julian one.
Okay.
This, so for those of you that aren't aware and have been living under a rock, Julian Lage is one of like the greatest innovators in jazz guitar today, even just guitar, not just jazz guitar. And other than being so amazing at guitar, he's also the nicest guy ever. And that usually, I feel like that shouldn't go hand in hand. I feel like if you're that good, you should be kind of a jerk. And he's literally the nicest guy, nicest player. And I forget how long ago this video is, but it's an older video. And this is my favorite Julian video on the planet.
2011.
It's 9 years old. It's him and his bass player playing just duo, and the solo he takes, you might want to skip. It might be a bass solo first, and then his solo is just one of the most magical experiences, and I just get giddy, and I have a smile on my face every time I watch it. Just, yeah.
Love it.
It's so
Love
good.
it.
Yeah.
And guys, by the way, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't already, the link to Ariel's channel is in the description. Make sure you give him a follow. And Mods, I see you crushing it out there. If you see any good questions, make sure you keep pinging me. We'll try to get Ariel to answer one or two after this.
For sure.
But this here, so Julian, how do you pronounce his last name?
Lodge.
Lodge.
Yeah.
And this is the duo. And this is Ode to Elvin. And so we'll play a little bit of the bass solo, but then we'll skip ahead to the guitar lead. Here we go.
Nothing against bass.
We'll let it play.
Beautiful setup too.
That's awesome.
This is just the head. Jesus. Oh yeah. Yeah, Brian, totally, totally. Oh,
That's crazy, Ron. My pleasure. You're welcome, brother. Thank you.
what?
Yeah, I literally don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
I don't have words. I don't have words for that, dude. His tone, his touch, like I don't really have words for it, but dude, yeah, that's
It's
unbelievable.
so unbelievable. And of course, my AirPods die right at the top of his solo. Thank you, universe. That hurt. But luckily,
Dude, it
I've
is
watched
just-
this a million times. But
It is just
so
not
good.
your day for technology.
It's not my day for technology. But the way he starts that solo, that ascending melody with a descending bass line kind of thing. Maybe just, can you play that one more? Just the top of his solo, the first.
For you, sir, anything with your
And the
proper
smile on his-
headphones.
And the
Dude,
smile on his face.
He
Yeah.
loves it.
He just
I'm
loves
so
music.
with you.
And it's not, he's not putting that on. He's always smiling, that guy.
That's the idea.
Love you. Love you too, man. maybe a little farther back. He's going to do the head.
What'd you say?
Or
Keep
maybe
going.
a bit farther forward. Yeah, yeah. I just want
Wow.
everyone to experience that beginning of his solo. I don't know the timestamp.
It's all right. We'll let him set it up. It's okay.
Okay. Awesome.
We're a patient group.
Here we go.
He loves it. Yep. Dude,
Oh man, so good.
Dude, they love it. Oh, well, dude, I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, there isn't anything to say except just wow. And I'm so grateful that this exists in the world. We get to listen to stuff like that and experience it.
Couldn't agree more. Well, dude, this has been an extremely good time. I'm so happy that you wanted to jump on here and do this with us. Like as you can tell, this
My
is
pleasure.
a group. This is a group of people just like us who just get amped up over this stuff. And
Love it.
And I love how we started out talking and then we jumped into the tracks, and the 3 tracks couldn't have been more different, but they just encapsulated that excitement, you know what I mean? Just that energy that just makes us all fans, and why this thing moves us and guides our life, man. I this has been all 3 of the things that you brought and all the conversations we have. I'm just so excited about, dude. I can't thank you enough, and you are welcome back anytime you want. And real life happens again, and you come through the East Coast, I will be there, brother.
Love it, man. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I haven't been excited about music like this in a while. It's sometimes you need to share it with another person.
Yeah.
And I needed this just as much as maybe you needed it. I don't know. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
This is what we do here. This is like what this whole channel is about. It's about
Love it.
It's about sharing the stuff that made us pick this thing up in the first place, and inspiring each other to, just like we said at the top, just keep it in your hands and just try to get a little bit better every day, and just be in love with the process, dude.
Love it. I love it.
All right, hang tight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for tuning into this live version and this live whatever of this traction with Ariel. Please, his channel is in the description, his link. Please give him a follow. He's
Thank
got
you.
just some tremendous tracks. He's a great player, and as you can see, an awesome guy. Thanks again for tuning in. I will see you all real soon. I got some very exciting guests coming up in the future. Exciting announcements, which, by the way, tomorrow, make sure you tune in. I'm going to be announcing the giveaway for our holiday season this year. It's going to be this PRS, this this hollow body with the matching Sanzera amp. So that video is going to come out tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned for that and all the fun stuff. And you can be damn sure I'm going to be making a video if in fact I can get it unblocked of that that one. What was that called? The goat something sessions.
The goat rodeo sessions. But tell you what, if you can't get the goat rodeo one, I have another dealer's choice for you that you might enjoy based on that Grissman one. If you look up Ricky Skaggs Rawhide, are you familiar with that?
No, but I know Ricky Skaggs.
I mean, it's just another barn burner. I believe
Yeah.
Brian Sutton's on it, a bunch of other heavies, probably some familiar faces, equal amounts of fun if Goat Rodeo continues to be blocked and difficult.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But also, please shoot me an email with the Punch Brothers one.
Yes.
If you take a minute and dig around and be like, all right, this is the hot one. Send that one to me.
Okay, will do.
All right, you hang tight. And mods, thank you so much. You guys are always crushing it out there. I really appreciate all you do in the community. You know that, and I will see you guys real soon. Cheers.